No, normalmente no, non vedi, cioè a meno che non ce li hai nell'elenco degli amici, non vedi.
Infatti c'è scritto 31 di 80 e basta.
Sì, no, normalmente non ti fa vedere chi c'è a meno che non siano nella tua lista.
Quando sei entrato te?
You know, I feel foolish.
Sì, beh, ti dice chiaramente chi tra le amicizie chi è entrato.
Just if you point and point at the chair and click, it should do it.
Okay, let me try that. I can't seem to select the chair.
Oh, there you go.
We are all in this together.
Okay, let me.
Together.
Oh, I did it! Yay!
Yay! I usually don't sit down in real life, but it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. in VR. Oh, that's
maybe if you're around afterwards, you can go to the world and see it.
Oh,
in arrival space, eh?
Yes, tomorrow. And I'm gonna try to do the XR woman, but I don't know. I'll probably leave early to mentally prepare. My memory is terrible.
I'm not sure from January I'll be able to do the XR1 thing because I'm also.
Mi sa che anche l'anno scorso c'è
Yeah,
stata
I'm looking forward to it.
un'edizione.
It'll be fun to see.
Sì, no, non è il primo anno.
Hello, Immersive X 2025.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, we are so glad that you are all here. And whew, I need to take a deep breath first. You can't imagine how that looks like from down here, seeing you, this wonderful, colorful crowd of beautiful minds and souls. Honestly, I wish everyone who keeps saying the metaverse is dead could see this. Having all of you here proves the exact opposite. The metaverse is very much alive and kicking, and let's all send some emojis up in the air to prove that how alive this thing is. Let's make it visible and let's show the world that we are here together right now in this moment in time. Christoph, may you please switch to the next slide? Let me ask you, who is attending Immersive X for the first time this year? Please raise your hand. Yeah, I see a lot of hands going up in the air. That somehow proves the statistics, because 3/4 of the population here are newcomers. So welcome to Immersive X. And for those who are not so familiar with the story of Immersive X, it began 5 years ago in November 2020, and it was the exactly. I just heard the name. It was during that hard time of the second lockdown. Back then, Immersive X was a small local German language event, and it was something that my team at VM People and I tried to pull off out of desperation to connect with the outside world. There was just one single venue. You see it behind me here, the Area X, hosted at that time in Altspace. And yeah, that was how it looked back then. And I still vividly remember that we almost didn't make it. On the night before the event started, we suddenly realized that Altspace hadn't granted us the so-called front row feature. And without that, we wouldn't have been able to run multiple instances. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to actually host the audience. And it was a close call, and that would have been the end of the story. Perhaps we wouldn't be even here today if it weren't for one person who literally saved our asses, saved us in the last minute. And after a short hiatus, this person is back with us this year. Liam McKill, there are you. Liam, can you please stand up? And Liam, even your very presence makes me feel like everything will be fine during the festival, right? What do you think? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of pressure, but no, I appreciate it. But I think everyone, I see a lot of people in there. I know there's a lot of newcomers, but I'm sure there's a lot of people. I can tell by the avatars. There's a lot of people who are very experienced in the metaverse space. So we all know that things happen. But as I mentioned earlier, keep calm and carry on. And it's great to be here and with the team again. So thank you. Keep calm, carry on, and let's all have fun. So this is beside all the serious discussions we lead, in the end we're doing this also because we want to have some fun. This first experience back then in 2020 taught us something essential. We can only create an event like this together. With a diverse team combining many skills, experiences, and perspectives. And that's exactly what Immersive X has become over the years. It's the 5th edition, and now it's in all its beautiful diversity. This festival exists because so many people have dedicated their time, energy, and hearts to it over the past month. I hope I didn't forget anyone, but I already like to express my sincere thanks to our fantastic organizing team. Olga, Ben, Tom, Gerald, Ines, Christian, Sean, Björn, Venus, Shushu, Nico, Anne, Björn, Carlos, John, Rolf, Lisa, DJ, Chris, Klaus, Mel, Simulations, who is unfortunately not here on this picture, Marsha K. She is? Where's she?
No, she's here in
she's
the room.
Not, she's here. She's here. Okay. Marsha K. and Dusk. Yeah. We all do share one belief. XR, the metaverse, spatial computing, whatever you call it, this is more than just a technology. It's a field of transformation, an arena where we all can create change on many levels. Christoph, next slide, please. That's why we made Immersive Impact the guiding theme of this 5th edition. We want to really understand, experience, and demonstrate how transformation through immersive technologies can be achieved. This thought shaped the entire program across 10 tracks and dozens of sessions. Because one thing is certain, and I hope you all agree on this, the world we live in needs change so desperately. And the challenges we face, may it be on the global, on the systemic, or on the individual level, we can only solve together. For me, the metaverse is above all a laboratory, a playground, and a prototype space where we can simulate and stimulate change before it happens out there in the real world. And despite all limitations, despite access barriers and technical hurdles, the metaverse still holds the potential to be a place where we, as a global community, can come together, where we can be close to each other, even though we are very far apart, where we can share ideas, collaborate, and dream collectively. That's the idea behind Immersive X 2025. For 3 days, we want to experience how change can be made and how community can be felt. Some insights on the audience. We see the screen already. Something that made us very, very happy. We have come more diverse over the last 12 months. We have the ambition that this is a global XR event, and we have never been closer to that vision than this year. We have a growing number of participants from Africa, which makes me very, very happy. And this diversity is not only beautiful, it's pretty much essential, because you all know this saying, innovation doesn't grow in homogeneous groups, it thrives in heterogeneous teams. And this is what we are here at Immersive X. Christoph, will you please show the next slide? And this diversity is not only reflected in nationalities, but also in our backgrounds. This year we have a great mix of people from academia, from the arts, culture, business, and technology. And additionally, I'd like to point out that we have achieved a healthy, balanced mix of genders among the presenters and audience members. So now let's get down maybe to some practical details. Let me give you a few quick notes to help ensure you have a smooth and pleasant journey over the last 3 days. That came a little early, but well, it's okay. Read. This is an absolute pro tip, and it makes your experience a lot easier. I know reading is a cultural skill in decline. To be honest, I can tell it for myself. And it's especially challenging when you are wearing a headset, like we do now. But please take a moment to read the daily updates in your inbox, the session landing pages where a lot of important information being shown, and the help desk information on our website. If you do read, many of your questions will simply vanish into thin air. But if not,
amazing.
However, if you need more clarification or run into trouble, that may become an issue. Our team will be there for you throughout the whole festival. I can promise that. It's quite a challenge because we run this in, 18, 19 hours a day in different time zones are involved. And speaking of support, if you haven't done so yet, please, Christoph, go to the next slide. Please, I'm like a record being stuck. Please go and join our Discord server. For those of you haven't, it's also something that has shown and proven a good thing over the last couple of months. We were a little bit reluctant as organizer with Discord and maybe not so experienced, but we have a little bit improved on that, and also the first day yesterday already showed that it helps a lot. And if there is anything, please join our channel, our Discord channel, and there will be people that answer your questions. That's for sure. Next slide, please. One recurring source of confusion at this event is that it is global, and that a lot of time zones are involved. And that's why we have added a small but powerful feature to our website. I don't know whether you have found it already. It has been a little bit hidden under your schedule in your profile. You can select a different time zone. And with this, we want to make sure that you won't accidentally miss a session. And speaking of time, with Christoph shows us the next slide. Speaking of time, unlike in previous years, all sessions will start on time. We practiced that a little with this session already, and it worked pretty well. So thanks for joining so punctually. Yeah, we will start usually on the top of the hour. Please show some respect to your presenters and fellow participants and be or try to be punctual. I know this sounds very, very German, and I am a German, excuse me, but please arrive a few minutes earlier if you can. 5 minutes, that's okay. And make yourself comfortable, see if everything works with your gadget, and yeah, it adds to your experience. So, and last but not least for my introduction, one last notion, yeah, mutual respect. I was just talking about respect. It's one of the pillars of our community. Check out our community guidelines if you're not familiar with them. But in a nutshell, diversity also includes differences in opinion. That is not just accepted, it's encouraged, as long as it is expressed with kindness and respect. At Immersive X, every voice matters. This is our mantra. No matter who you are, where you come from, or how you show up. If you ever feel uncomfortable or notice behavior that doesn't align with our values, please reach out to us. We are here for you. This is really, really important. And please get in touch if you feel uncomfortable. When it comes to change and transformation, it often starts with us, our ability to connect socially and our capacity to build bridges. For this warm-up, I have invited two fellow metanauts who have gained interesting experiences in this area and who are willing to share them with us. First, I would like to call to the stage Dr. Ruth Diaz. Ruth, will you join me?
Yay.
Round of emoji applause for Dr. Ruth.
Hello. Oh.
I'm really glad that you are here. I have to admit that I did not know your work. I was introduced to you by our friend Tom Nickel a couple of months ago, but then I really got absorbed in what you do. So you're a social scientist, an immersive learning consultant, a leadership coach, and you are also the founder of Bridge Makers World. And what fascinates me, you are widely known for your troll project, for which you conducted an extensive research on troll behavior in virtual worlds. So let's talk a little bit about your research. More than 10 years ago, Jane McGonigal wrote a book titled Reality is Broken, about gamification. How would you describe the state of virtual reality today? Based on your findings, would you say virtual reality is broken too? Or what? Can you tell us a little bit about your research?
Yeah, thank you. And hello, everyone. It's so lovely to see you all. I'm here at 5:30 a.m. in Pacific time, but I was so excited about this starting that I barely slept anyway. So I'm glad to be here with all of you. So the Troll Project was both a personal and a professional journey. And was an initiation for me in looking in the places all of us want to look away from, and asking that question about what are the realities and what are the pathways for the people who didn't find their village quick enough. And it started with actually being in VR chat during an especially dark moment in my own life where some might say I had been misunderstood as a troll of sorts. And I was in an existential crisis of sorts. I was asking myself, like, why did I move my career into this field? And how could cancel culture and how could just the the ways that people start to tell stories become so harmful and adverse so quickly after pouring my heart and life energy into community building and offering professional level products. So my reality was broken, let's just say. And yet I encountered in a public world a group of trolls that were fawning over each other. So as a social scientist, I'm always paying attention to what are the verbals, what are we saying out loud to each other, and then what are the nonverbals? What is my body language telling you right now about how I'm doing and what we're doing here? And the nonverbals were what I call, and maybe you've heard of, fawning behavior. They were a very close-knit group. But the verbals were the most racist, sexist, homophobic, harmful phrases I probably had ever heard within the span of 4 or 5 minutes. And so it intrigued me and terrified me that there was this group of people that had such a difference in what was outside of them and what you could quote of what they were saying, but also like the heartfulness that I saw how they were taking care of each other. And out of my own fear, the beginning of the Troll Project was just hitting record on my headset because I thought group creature, which is kind of, I like to study the whole group's nonverbals, group creature, animal creature, could turn to me and then become very congruent in their verbals and nonverbals and eat me alive. They obviously all have very sharp teeth. So I'm going to record this and I'm going to go up and say, hi, I'm a social scientist. And I'd like to ask you some questions. I just noticed something really interesting about your group. And that was the beginning. It was really just getting myself out of my own broken reality and being curious again. And one of the top things that I found was that a lot of people that we would call bad actors or trolls do not identify as trolls. Nobody gave them the memo that said, you have now become a troll. And so they didn't experience how they were behaving as harmful at all. And they were very sincere and put all their harmful language down and gave me really honest answers to why they acted the way they were acting. And part of it for that group was a self-protection because they were in a public space. So it was kind of a warning to other people to stay away. But I didn't. And then I had a year-long ethnographic research journey to learn from other people you would maybe consider trolls, disruptive, really harmful behavior, sometimes terrorizing, a lot of mocking behavior. What their insight levels, I wanted to understand what did they believe on the inside about their behaviors and what they were doing. And I found that a lot of these people didn't see what they were doing as harmful. They really believed that they were having fun and joking around. And the game that they called this application, there's no way to win this app. Right? So if I'm a gamer and I'm in games and then I come into a social app, there's no clear path to achieve it and cross it off my list. And so then the people became the game.
Yeah, very, very interesting insights. I want to point you to Ruth's 2 sessions at this stage. You will give a keynote later on day 1. Today, actually, so it's
12 hours.
I'm a little bit embarrassed that I forced you to get up this early because you got a keynote later today, and also a related workshop on day 3, a 90-minute session, and both are combined. Based on, let me ask you this, on your findings, you developed a framework that enables people to navigate conflict within immersive community. Do you want to elaborate without spoiling too much on this, maybe tease the audience a little bit?
The mysteriousness, yes. So actually, before I came into VR, the whole reason I got my headset, which thank you to my brother who gave me his VR system that he hand built, I had a Rift back in the day for those, hardcore users. And I got it because I had developed a model in conflict resiliency. So I have a background in clinical psychology. And this model explained the archetypes of conflict. So the villain and the victim, and then the hero and bystander. But I had been teaching it on 2D screens and whiteboards. And I knew that it was a three-dimensional model. And so I was very hungry to be in a three-dimensional space and use my body and my hands to actually learn and interact with this more immersively. I had this hunger to be able to pick it up and play with it and turn it upside down. So that's how I fell down this rabbit hole about, 2016, 17. And then I realized that this model had been developed with people. It had been developed in inpatient settings, and I needed people to look at it with me for it to feel alive. And so the Troll Project turned into bridge makers over time because I didn't just interview trolls. I actually started to interview moderators and leaders and even application administrators at every level about their understanding of conflict and what we're doing as a global community about what we might call bad behavior. Like, do we really think we're solving for this, or are we just building more of this behavior? And so the first talk, the keynote, is going to be, it's a recipe. So we've got conflict, right? Which, shout out to the Troll Project and all the harm and intensity that has happened, even with me personally in social VR. So conflict, compassion, and presence. And the journey to return back to the moment and to the possibility that we can find each other again. So, and then the second one is going to be diving into the conflict resiliency. And I've got a world in VR chat that was built by the Bridgemakers community, and you are going to get to interact with it. You're going to see my dream come true and go on your own journey of understanding conflict for you.
So if you haven't joined, there are still some seats left. I can only recommend it because Ruth sessions are really at the heart of this year's topic, Immersive Impact. And the last question I'd like to ask you now is, I was just talking about the metaverse being a laboratory where we can stimulate change. Do you see in your workshops that you give in your VR chat world, is this something maybe that could also help bringing conflict parties in the real world maybe together? We all know that there are so many conflicts. I'm living in Germany. People in the US know what I'm talking about all over the world. Is maybe the metaverse a space where we can try to understand each other better, even if we are not of the same opinion, to somehow resolve conflict?
I believe so. I would encourage you to look out at this audience. And sometimes I joke, but I also sincerely mean that virtual reality is kind of like a masquerade ball. I always wanted to go to one of those when I was a kid, right? You have the masks on and nobody who knows who each other is. And by looking at each other with fresh eyes, it's exciting and it's stimulating, but it also can feel more safe to explore those parts inside of us maybe we have conflict with, and we never resolved that conflict and we never healed there. And so if you can reframe trolling as kind of a bad trip to some degree, it's a experience of unpacking the self too fast and becoming volatile or sometimes harmful to people, not knowing how to slow down and dance with each other. And so this is a place where we get to learn how to dance with each other. Some people here are on desktop. Some people might be even on a mobile phone, getting coffee in Starbucks or whatever. We don't know. And so this is a place to raise our consciousness of the nonverbals and what data points we're filling in. And we're saying, wow, because that person is so frozen, they're judging me. They don't like me. They believe I'm something, right? So that's a story I'm telling myself. And so this conference and these moments of connection are an opportunity for you to raise your awareness on the stories we tell ourselves about all those nonverbals. And then when we go into physical reality, what I hear a lot of people tell me is how much more conscious they are. Like in Bridge Makers, we spend a lot of time talking about values. Values are the magnetic poles inside of us that guide us to connect to each other. But sometimes, just like magnets, they flip and they conflict. And then we have to work through that. And so instead of framing this as a game, my invitation, even if you don't come to my talks, this is my one, like, don't forget this part, frame this as a dreamscape of your own transformation. And allow for the possibility that some of the people we rub kind of friction and feel very uncomfortable with have actual teachings inside of them that will help us be better in physical reality. It doesn't mean everybody, but it means there are journeys in here that are very uncomfortable and can make us better humans.
I really like your the picture you have just drawn of Immersive X being like a carnival with people wearing masks. It's exactly what I see here, and I really love this. So Ruth, thank you very much. Please stay a little bit longer here on the couch, and maybe let's move on to a second guest we have today. His name is Julian Todd, and he recently experienced what can be called a life-transforming event in the metaverse. Julian, would you please? Ah, you're already here. Please have a sit.
Yeah. I can't sit on the seat because I have tracking, so it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Why shall we all stand up again? Then maybe
No. I can sit down. I can sit down on a real chair and put my feet up on the stool.
Okay. Then I come here so I can see you a little bit better.
Okay.
Wait.
I feel very out of place
playing
here.
Musical chairs. So, yay.
Yes.
Okay.
And not one person is not like the other ones. I see.
No.
Yeah.
We all sit in our different ways.
Now I'm turning a little bit strange. I better come here. So, but Julian,
how about sit here? Sit here.
Yeah. Well, I gotta sit in front because the seat. Otherwise, I just sit on top like that. No. I'll just stay out of your space. Yeah,
no, we haven't rehearsed that. Obviously, sorry for that.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So Julian, it's really wonderful to have you here. You have a long track record as a developer, and are now focusing on Godot VR applications. And after 4 years of developing what you thought were normal VR applications, you believed you had a pretty broad understanding of the technology until one day everything changed for you. Experienced something that, as you call it, broke your brain. What happened?
Oh, yeah.
Tell a story.
What happened? Well, I'm not so good at telling the story, but I've told it a few times. Was that, so I was a normal VR developer, making applications and sometimes doing multiplayer. Am I frozen? Yeah, for technical reasons, because in a lot of technical CAD, you need to be able to see what each player is doing so that you can help them along. And then I also went along to the, I think we're doing the Ferryman Collective, the live theater. And I thought,
that's where we met.
So I saw that very early on when they were like 4 years or 5 years ago in the Under, and were doing shows in that before VR chat. And then those people, and so I followed them, and I thought that was the biggest thing there was in VR. And I'd go along to their shows and so on. And then one day I signed up for the Ferality show, which was the furries, I knew I was always kind of a little bit furry curious, but I would say definitely Google didn't know I was a furry. There was no furry stuff in the timeline of YouTube at all. That's obviously changed. And so when I went to the Ferality, they had these events early on in the year where you're supposed to meet new players, except there weren't any new players in there. So I would sit there. I don't know whether there's a picture of that. I was to sit there for like 2 hours, not speaking to anybody. because I was so shy, and I didn't even want to know anyone to know that I was a furry or even interested.
Can you go to the next slide, Christoph, please?
Yeah,
then we have a visual
there we go.
impression of what virality is. It's one of my favorite worlds, basically. You really have to check it out. On the right corner down there is Julian, right?
Yeah, I was there for 2 hours, wandering around, not speaking to anybody. And because you can see everyone else has very advanced avatars, so they're definitely not new players. And also, kind of out of place because I have a bit of a basic avatar where I've chosen. So usually I'd be like the weirdo, but now they're all too weird for me, and I'm too normal for them now. So nothing ever fits. So what then happened was I over this period of a few of these events, I started making friends with some of the other new players, which I would see they would be just as shy as me in the corner. You know, you can tell these people. And the thing I discovered was in this VR world, you can just make friends. When you make a friend, it's like instant. Then you find out about what the person is. In fact, this is what seems to be happening: is that all the changes in me just happen like lightning, right? So, you know, one day this guy was not my friend. Suddenly, it's like I've known him for my whole life. And it's sort of, I'd say it's like your first day at school. And the other funny thing about it is that nobody could tell my age. They all thought I was in my 20s, which is very flattering, I think. You know, nice. So we're kind of like on the level. And I would even later on, I've been almost ashamed about this, was the point where I even started making a fursuit. If anybody knows what that is, does anyone know? Probably not.
A fursuit?
Yeah, I thought it was a stupid idea.
Like something you wear right now in the physical world, right?
Yeah, I thought that was the stupidest idea. And then one day someone said they're making one, and that was it. Flip. I have to make one. And so I've been building this one very slowly because I'm actually have a lot of technical, good Lord, technical ability on doing,
I'd like to ask you another question, which I guess is something, or two more questions can be a takeaway, but please stand up because I want to show the audience something. As far as I know, you are wearing a full body tracker, right? So your movement is a little more organic than I do.
It's a little janky, yeah. So during this period also, I had another friend who and I might get to another point, was he said, you should go along to the dance class. So that's the Dust Bunny. I think she is going to be doing a thing.
Presentation later today. You should also check this out. There are some empty seats still.
Yeah, and he said, just pay the money and go along. And I thought they'd look after me. They didn't look after me. I was just in their instance being very, very crap at dancing, and that was humiliating. And I sort of worked out this thing that if you're playing VR chat right, you will have a lot of uncomfortable moments. But they're not going to be too uncomfortable. What I think a problem a lot of grown-ups have is that we've learned how to avoid any discomfort and any places where we might risk and be a little bit unhappy. And young people, they don't know how to avoid that. they accidentally go in and get terribly embarrassed and things. But we avoid this. And I think we just have to learn that, for example, if you're going to do the dancing, you will have 2 sessions that are absolutely terrible. You cannot believe it's so bad. And then you go along and then you start to enjoy it. But there's no shortcut, I think. That's sort of one of those lessons. But yeah, I did the dance class for like 5 months until there was another event in the virality is they start fitness classes, exercise, press ups and all that.
Can I ask you 2 questions? One is, you have given a lightning talk on your experience. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. But there is one thing that maybe might be also a takeaway for the audience, a learning in terms of your avatar. Is there something that you found out in the community, the furry community, what you could tell the audience in terms of choosing their avatar?
Oh. Well, that's difficult. I mean, you got to go to the usually you need to do it with other people. It's like going shopping for clothes, and you go to the avatar thing, try out different stuff. We should all be doing that to find out what's comfortable. And what seems strange is that people who are furries, they just find these things more comfortable, and then they feel because they're more comfortable, they're more outgoing. But yeah, like I said, I don't see too many of my friends here. There's one over there, it looks like, but not a lot. But yeah, and people don't seem to judge as much as I expected. A lot of people are like this, and then they won't talk to anybody or tell anybody. And I've started to, but I wouldn't. Yeah.
Second question: we found out that a lot of people are new to Immersive X. Maybe they joined for the first time. So, like that very first day, for you in the furry community, where you felt like the new guy in school in class.
Yeah.
Do you have an advice for these new people?
Yes, I have been taking more and more people into VR chat. And the very best world to go into is the fishing world. If anyone knows the simple fishing world, okay? Just go there, and because I was working out the trolls at one time when I was seeing nasty children and things, and it was usually because they were bored. And in the fishing world, there's something to do. And also, the fishing world, the people there feel smart because they can teach you how to use it. If you go in there and you don't know what you're doing, people love to explain and be smart. And just go to the fishing world, sit on the edge, and they'll teach you everything there. And you've got something to do. You just cast the fish. You can be there for 10 minutes, not speak to anybody, and then someone comes along. And I have a friend who's been finding loads and loads of friends that way. And I would... That's the perfect world at the moment, I think.
Okay, thanks for Julian for sharing this story. I think the avatar has a huge impact on how we feel and also how we interact with each other. I personally am not very pleased with my avatar. I'm being frank and open here. I have to work on this. But Ruth, I think you can also maybe tell a final story about avatars.
It bridges Goat Church and I together, and you all get a goodie bag as your goodbye for today that I will offer you to clone here. So as I tell this story, I will switch into an avatar that you are welcome to take at the end here. So this bridges the Troll Project and Bridgemakers together, and I'm not sure if the avatar creator is here, but they may make a guest appearance today. As I told you, I climbed this kind of ladder from the bottom of maybe some people would call human hell consciousness, of just these people that were causing a lot of harm and were just really numb to how they were behaving. And eventually I started to talk to creators who then were friends with what I learned were ex-trolls and had actually become moderators and leaders. And one of these people for the Troll Project, you can see the video if you go to the YouTube channel series for the Troll Project. Simon Sama told a very vulnerable story about being a troll and becoming very suicidal over time, connected to also his own life experiences. And he had come in here, I think, near one of his final moments, like he was either going to go to the ER or end his life. And he was so miserable, and somebody showed him this avatar that I'm going to show you in a moment. But when he switched into this avatar, how quickly people started responding differently to him was a life-changing journey. He had been in here for many months, if not years, and had a whole troll friend group and an identity. But all of a sudden, the world changed, and everybody started responding to him with so much love and affection, and it just burst his heart. And he realized that he had been on one path in here, and there was a whole other journey he could go on. And this became his bridge to letting go of that darkness that had gathered in him and building community. And eventually he ended up meeting the avatar creator, Juice. You may know some of Juice's worlds. I believe Juice has accidentally discovered a troll conversion algorithm of sorts. And some of his worlds have a very similar effect to the fishing world. They teach people to help each other. But this avatar, I'm building this up, you may already have it, was not just a conversion for Simon. It has been a story I've heard repeatedly from ex-trolls that found this particular avatar you're going to see and found their heart again, found their humanity, and started building healing community for themselves and then for other people who had not found their path in here. So the invitation, if it's not too disruptive for you all, and I'm going to switch into it and turn my clone on here, is that you all get to celebrate your own journeys and your own paths today and through this conference by looking for where your heart opens up and where you feel your own healing beginning or continuing. This avatar that now has fallen out of my recently avatared list because I've been switching into a lot of them. This avatar, I have too many avatars. That's right. This avatar is an opportunity to get your play on and feel your bounce and watch how people respond when you change into it.
There it is.
Got it.
There we go. Look at that.
So,
and
what
who's present
we'd like to do?
This
is our stage manager, Christoph.
Oh, yay. Okay. Yes, we rehearsed this part. And so let's turn our clone on for anybody who has this avatar. So you may point at this.
If you would like to join us here on stage, we are at the end of this session. Let's do something experiential. Clone your avatar. Maybe you should tell people how to clone the avatar.
Yes.
You have to point to.
So the trouble is you have to stay still as well first. That's the important thing.
You're right.
Keep moving around.
I'm going to freeze. That's right. Okay. So you're going to point, open your square menu. So if you're on desktop, you hit escape, and in headset, or 1, okay? And if you're in your headset, then you're going to just open your square menu by, I believe, your B button, and then you're going to point at me and click Clone Avatar once my profile comes up. You can also click
on.
Let's do something experiential and fun in the end of this session.
Yes. So everybody who would like to clone this, you can hop down here and let's get a group photo being our bouncy selves.
That would be great to prove that it is about serious conversations, but also about fun and seeing the world from a different perspective.
That's right. Look at all the foxes growing in the space. Oh my gosh.
And really take a look inside how different it is being some furry fox animal rolling around.
So, when we rehearsed this, what we found was, like, even though we were feeling very serious about doing a good job for today, we all just started giggling as we were in our, it's a very serious talk about how, and even the camera people came in their other avatars just to clone this and play with us. So it doesn't look it isn't as dizzying as you imagine it. You're in the avatar, you're actually suspended above it, so you don't feel dizzy. And it's just a way you can customize this in so many ways to fit your personality. And it's a way to let yourself have a different journey here. Even if you're here to network and do all the serious stuff, what I told you about the nonverbals is try having a serious conversation and switching into this midway and see what happens. People will just start making all kinds of noises. So we have our little fox group on stage here. If anybody else would like to learn how to do this, you can come down and join us.
For those who want to join us for the photo, please stay. For others who want to leave now for the red carpet in Engage and for Andy Fidel's keynote, that's gonna happen next red carpet at 3:30 and the keynote at 4:00. I want to thank you, Ruth and Julian, for joining me for this warm up. But thank you all. Thank everyone for doing the start together that ended in craziness, but this is the intention. Thanks, and I wish you all a wonderful journey over the next 3 days. So see you somewhere around in the sessions, and have a good journey at Immersive X 2025.
Look at our boxes, lots of pictures. Woo! Emoji.